The sleep storm. When life never shuts off, what happens when your world never truly powers down? When the hum of worry, the pull of performance, the weight of expectations never leave your mind, even in the dark of night. Welcome to modern life, the age of hyperproductivity, endless scrolling, and dopamine overload. Our lives are louder than ever, and our sleep more fragile than ever. In this new volume, we're diving headfirst into the chaos, the overstimulation that's rewiring our nervous systems, the myths we believe about catching up on rest, and the trap of thinking rest is earned only after exhaustion. We've normalized burnout and then wondered why we can't fall asleep. This isn't just about screen time. It's about a nervous system caught in overdrive. Our brains are trained for alerts, dings, pings, news flashes, endless feeds. We live with a sense that something urgent is always happening or about to. And even when we want to relax, our minds stay on guard, waiting for the next task, the next threat, the next shoe to drop. Sleep can't thrive in that environment. It's not just about getting to bed earlier. It's about feeling safe enough to let go, about dismantling the inner belief that rest is laziness, about realizing that rest is not a reward, it's a rhythm, and we've fallen out of sync. The myth of busy and the cost to your body. Ask someone how they're doing, and what's the default answer? Busy. As if it's a badge of honor. But here's the dark underbelly of that busyness. It wrecks our sleep. It steals the stillness our body needs to downshift. And over time, it convinces us that slowing down is a sign of weakness. Busyness creates a false sense of urgency. We rush from task to task, convincing ourselves it's all essential. But our bodies know better. They give us signals: fatigue, foggy thinking, tension headaches. But we call it normal. Until one day, we can't sleep. Not because the bed isn't soft or the room isn't dark, but because our identity has fused with our productivity. If we're not doing, we feel we don't matter. Here's the truth. The nervous system needs boundaries. It needs quiet. It needs boredom even. Because in the quiet, we return to ourselves. We remember we're human, not machines. That awareness is the beginning of healing, of reclaiming rest not as an escape from work, but as the foundation that makes meaningful work possible. Slowing the spin, practices for restoring your nervous system. So how do we slow it all down? How do we signal to our brain that it's okay to power down? It starts during the day, not just at night. Small, intentional pauses. Deep breathing with your eyes closed. Grounding exercises like pressing your feet into the floor and naming 5 things you see. Rituals that create closure between work and rest. Turning off email notifications. Writing down your thoughts before bed so your brain doesn't have to hold them. Create a buffer zone between your busy and your bedtime. This isn't about perfection, it's about pattern. Maybe it's a hot shower, a cup of herbal tea, or dimming the lights 30 minutes before bed. Maybe it's silence, prayer, or reading a physical book. These aren't just habits, they're cues to your body that it's safe to shift gears. And don't underestimate the power of nature. Sunlight in the morning, fresh air during lunch, a walk without your phone. These small exposures recalibrate your circadian rhythm and reduce cortisol. Over time, they rebuild a sense of internal safety, and that's the soil where sleep takes root. From depletion to resilience, why rest builds strength. Somewhere along the way, we learn to fear rest, to think of it as weak, unproductive, indulgent. But the science and the soul say otherwise. Rest is not the absence of action. It is preparation for it. Athletes know this. Muscles grow in recovery, not just in reps. So does your nervous system. When you build rhythms of rest, your baseline resilience increases. Your reactions slow. Your thoughts become clearer. You respond rather than react. You become more available to life, not less. And your body stops treating rest as a threat and starts recognizing it as home. Here's the paradox. The more we rest, the more capacity we have to carry what life throws at us. Not through pushing harder, but through recovering better. True resilience isn't white-knuckling through exhaustion. It's knowing when to stop, reset, and return stronger. Rewriting your rest story. A call to start today. You don't need a retreat in the mountains or a week off to begin healing your relationship with rest. You just need a shift in mindset, in rhythm, in belief. Your rest story doesn't have to be one of deprivation and guilt. It can be one of restoration, rhythm, and joy. So where do you begin? Start by honoring the signals. When your body whispers, don't wait until it screams. Turn toward stillness, not away. Make rest a rhythm, not a reward. You were not created to hustle until you collapse. You were created to live with breath, intention, and peace. Tonight, as the lights dim and the noise fades, choose differently. Put your phone down sooner. Let your last thoughts be kind, not critical. Tell your nervous system, you're safe now. It's okay to rest. And if this series has spoken to you, if you've seen yourself in these words, then share this journey. Someone else needs permission to rest. Someone else is lying awake tonight, wondering if they're broken. Let them know they're not alone. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. Share this with a friend who needs it. Let's build a culture where rest is honored, not hustled through. Where sleep is sacred and stress doesn't get the final word.